Thank you. Can we also just give it up for Naomi? We just give it up for Naomi? Yes! So I feel like you guys have been sitting here literally all day just like listening to people talk, and I know that this is supposed to be a forum for learning, and so I'd like to be a bit more intentional about the way I engage you guys. So I'd actually like to make this a process of learning, and I'd like to, instead of just talking at you, I'd just like to be a resource for this audience. So to give you a background on me and where I might be helpful in terms of answering questions or educating people, what I do in the world, if you think about Bitcoin, Bitcoin is a system, it is information. It is financial information, and it's a system that was created to eliminate the need for excess third parties' trust in finance, i.e. like banking. What I work on in terms of virtual nations is using the blockchain to eliminate unnecessary third-party trust in the institution of government. And so in order to do that, we've thought of some pretty, can you hear me okay? Am I muffled? Okay, cool. So yeah, that is essentially what I do. That is my life's work. Some of the things that we've created have been the World Citizenship ID for refugees, which is going to be something eminently necessary when we're dealing with what I call the civilized refugee crisis. After Arctic drift happened, we also provide people with the ability to register their land titles and to create marriage contracts on the blockchain outside of a nation state. One of my board members is actually arguably one of the largest LGBTQ activists in the world. Her name is Jacqueline. She was on the cover of Time magazine because she is the reason why the Kill All the Gays bill was announced. She snuck into Parliament with a pen that was actually a recorder, and she just went in there and released that information to every person that she knew in the press. So blockchain also provides the ability for people to get married anonymously that could be LGBTQ living in places like Uganda, which now has an anti-homosexuality law that will imprison you for life. For literally, yeah, I know. For literally just loving the person that you love. And this allows people to actually get married on the blockchain in a way that is anonymous or pseudo-anonymous and opt into a marketplace of services that can be provided from anyone from the private sector to individuals to blockchain-based systems to create universal healthcare, something like this. In my ideal world, we could create a system where the Palantir Embassy or the Singularity University Embassy had just as much power to protect citizens of the planet Earth as the United States Embassy did. Or that we had something even more decentralized, right? Citizen security based on like a life marketplace, where you're actually rewarded for taking care of and protecting your fellow man. So these are the kind of systems that I think about building, and that is my perspective and view on governance. I started by co-founding Cointelegraph. It's a big media group, but I just like to know from the audience, what do you guys want to know? What do you guys want from a system like this? Like, do you guys even care? I would assume that the audience here cares about government or governance. But what do you want to know? Where do you want to grow and learn? And what kind of questions can I answer? Not only about the work that I'm doing, but about your life. How can I help make this experience more meaningful for you? And if you want to learn more about what I work on, I'm happy to talk to you guys and I'm happy to teach you. But I actually told them to just take my slides down because I thought you guys would probably be so bored. Just sitting here all day listening. No, I mean, not bored. It's amazing. Everyone here is amazing. But I just thought maybe let's have fun. And can I teach you guys something that maybe you haven't already learned or something that you don't already know? Does anyone have any questions? Or yeah.
I heard of the Bit Nation project.
Yeah.
Is that you guys? Or?
Yeah. So I was originally a co-founder of the project called Bit Nation. We have since. Oh, thank you for having a mic. So we have since, I would just suggest that you do your due diligence on that project. That's all I'm going to say about the situation. I would suggest that you do your due diligence, but we're certainly, so the team that we have now that I'm working with is essentially someone who created SSL, which is the baseline encryption layer, the co-founder of an organization called Unify, which is the world's largest global meditation movement. They created 2.5 billion people meditating during the Israeli-Palestinian conflict with Deepak Chopra and India Reid. My other co-founder is probably the most powerful indigenous person on the entire planet. His name is Chief Phil Lane, and he is the spiritual indigenous elder. He's a spiritual indigenous elder. So and Tristan right here has worked on the project, and Matt McKibben, who's in the back, is insanely helpful. He was also previously both of these.
I wrote the white paper.
Yeah, both of these people as well were formerly involved in the BitNation project, so that's all. I would just suggest that you do your due diligence, but just to let everyone know the movement is still moving forward, and we've made a lot of forward motion, progress, and traction. Is there anything else? Does anyone else have any questions about anything, or do you guys just want me to give an actual? Do you guys actually want me to give a presentation to you? I can do that. I can do that. Yes, yeah. Well, that's so much. I mean, part of what I do is inspired by the fact that we created a global oligopoly on governance in 1649 with the peace treaty. That's nice and polite of me. The Peace Treaty of Westphalia in 1649, which essentially removed city-state governance and established a global oligopoly on an institution that was formerly just used for the purposes of literally record-keeping. Government existed to keep records. And now all of a sudden we've made the entire system about scarcity, we've made it about violence. Like, there are innocent lives of children that are lost and put at risk every single day because somehow we decided that we needed to serve our public servants. I think about it this way, right? Like, imagine you guys have a butler, right? And imagine that one day your butler's like, hey man, like, we worked together for 5 years, like, is it cool if I borrow your car to go pick up my kids? And you say, well, yeah, I mean, I guess that'd be fine. Sure. And so your butler takes the car, and then, you know, he keeps taking the car to go and get his kids, and then all of a sudden, like, you kind of, one day you walk outside and you're like, where's my car? And you call the butler and you say, hey man, like, do you have the car? And your butler goes, oh, well, I mean, yeah, like, it's using it to get my kids, what's up? And you say, well, I have a meeting, like, I need to be in the city. Where's my, I need you to bring the car back. And he's like, well, I mean, I'm getting my kids. And how you handle that interaction with your butler is going to inform the dynamic of your relationship for the rest of the period that the two of you work together. Because if you respond to your butler saying, hey, like, can you please bring the car back? Like, I need it. Then for the rest of your relationship, your servant you will be serving your servant. Wow. And that is actually the relationship that we have with governance today. We are serving people who are supposed to be serving us. And people have lost the fight in themselves to stand up and have agency to really do something meaningful in these kinds of interactions. And I think that means that this democracy bubble is ripe for change. It's ready to pop. If you read The Republic by Plato, Plato actually talks, he predicts Donald Trump at the theoretical genesis of democracy. We knew that this would happen, and you know what? It's amazing. I think that is absolutely beautiful in every way and shape and form because we have the power to truly create something new. And that evolution has happened because of technology like the blockchain. Now, did I answer your original question? Did I? Okay, awesome. Anyone else? Yeah,
I have a question for you. You're talking about using BitNation to empower organizations so that they could be on par as the US State Department functionally, globally. So what does that gap look like from where you are now to that goal, and what do you need to fill it in with?
Okay, so, you know, it requires a lot of mobilization. It requires so many people to just be empowered and stand up. But here's the thing that I've learned. I have been working on this for the last 3.5 years. And here's what I've learned. Here's the coolest thing. Everyone wants this. Everyone. People in government want this. Everyone outside of government wants this. I have not talked to a single person about the idea that we could change the way that the state worked, that government worked, that we could actually be self-governing, sovereign individuals. I have not had one person or organization, no matter how large or how small, that I have spoken with. I have not had one person not want this. And so it requires a lot of action and mobilization, and honestly, you know, in certain instances, it's just gonna take time. And the way I think about things, I don't have all of the answers, And sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing today. But what I can say is that it's important for us to focus on solving problems. And sometimes that means having a long-term vision to say, here's the core problem that exists in governance, and the way that we actually redefine how the solution exists includes eliminating violence by creating insurance policies in free market government environments and actually incentivizing people to be rewarded by using empathy. I can say that that's a core principle of the vision, but I think at the end of the day, the way this really comes to life is by our ability to collectively solve meaningful problems and economically reward individuals for solving those problems in a way that actually represents real, authentic, empathetic interactions between two human beings that can actually, create connection, real meaningful connection, real humanity between people, instead of saying this is a system, this is a world about punishment, an eye for an eye. We're already living in a world where why do you think everyone right now is walking around blind? Why no one knows what's going on in the media? It's because we based our evolution of the concept of justice on not restoration, but like on retribution. And sometimes that retribution means violence, and that's unacceptable. That is absolutely unacceptable. We cannot have a system that in any way or shape or form can ethically justify in any context the use of force or violence or coercion. And we don't need that as human beings. But the step one, the first thing we have to do to stop that from existing outside in the world is we have to stop that from existing in ourselves. And when we actually stand up and we have the sovereignty and we have the agency to know how to fight against this, whether that's in ourselves or from outside forces, when every single one of us comes together and we take a stand and we actually have the technology to empower us with the agency and with the needs, with the actual needs that the state would normally provide with those services. When we pull that together ourselves, it's like the problem aggregates around it. Like, I'm not this movement. Right? I'm not queen of the world over here, you know what I mean? I'm not Miss Universe. I'm like just a lady who wants the world to be at peace. I just want this place to be happy. I want to leave it better than I found it. Like, if I can come into this world and maybe do something, no matter how small or no matter how big, but make this world a little bit better, then maybe my life will actually mean something. This isn't a movement about me. Right? This doesn't work like that. Anyone who's ever tried to take on changing government on their own has been killed. Don't really want to die. So it's about all of us, every single one of us coming together. And when we actually come together and when we take ownership over our own rights, and when we actually have a system that exists outside of the current legal infrastructure that can provide us with access to arbitration and plenty of other economic services that would normally be provided by a state-based agency, we really start to change things. And even the way I think about this, I'm not thinking that we're gonna like build out every single solution, because I think even if it's open source, the idea of having a monopoly on that is wrong. There's so many people who have built awesome stuff that are way smarter than me. So let's take the things that work, that people like, and let's make a marketplace of services so people have the ability to choose. And at the core of it, let's make sure that the services we're providing on a baseline level really respect the privacy of the individual on a completely anonymous level. And then if people want to be compliant, or if they want to exist within the framework of their own independent nation, then they have the freedom to do so. But it's just, let's give people the freedom to choose. Let's give people the freedom to choose at the end of the day, because that's what this is about, right? It's not about even me, it's not about, it is about you. But at the end of the day, it's really about us, because change doesn't happen through one person alone. But the beautiful thing about this movement is that it is a change that everyone wants.
Woo!
Yeah. Okay, so I think my email is, yes, and it's spelled correctly. Okay, so if you guys want to get in touch with me, I just thought I would do something a bit more interactive. My name is Toni Casserly. That is my email. You can feel free to get into contact with me. There are a lot of things that our project is working on and has actually accomplished in terms of what we have on board that have in some ways given us the potential to set some very interesting precedents. So I'd be happy to share with people in private. And I just want to say thank you so much for your time, for allowing me to go a bit off the cuff and hopefully engage with some of you and provide you with meaningful answers to questions that you're really seeking. So thank you.